Hello and welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be of interest to anyone looking to apply for a visa to another country while they're here in Thailand. There's a very good chance that if you're doing that, you may be diverted through another company called VFS Global that seems to handle cross-border paperwork for hundreds of countries, actually, and I found out that they handle the UK applications for various visas to enter the UK. And this is what this video is all about. About 7 years ago, I took my wife and daughter to Scotland. And my daughter was less than 2 years old then, and that was the initiative to take her because it meant that we could travel, air travel, for free. And that was very positive. My wife enjoyed it, and I think my daughter enjoyed it also. But of course, being under 2 years old, now that she's approaching 8 years old, she doesn't remember anything about it. For some time, I've been aware that she's got a very great interest about Scotland, the country where I was born, and she's very interested to know about her family connections there and what Scotland's like, and she looked at quite a bit of information on the internet, etc., about Scotland. So she keeps asking me when we're going to visit again, and that is the purpose of me looking at visas for going back to Scotland. Unfortunately, and as many will know who have followed my channel for some time, I do have a severe mobility problem in that I suffer from acute chronic fatigue syndrome, picked up from some things that have happened recently in the past, but it does mean that I'm it's very difficult for me to walk more than a few hundred yards without being really shattered. And that worries me about this visit to Scotland. The prognosis to this affliction I have is very undecided. Doctors don't know much about it because nobody wants to talk about it. And the doctors I have consulted, they think it is a good possibility it may improve over some years. Wow. Others say, well, they don't know, and it may not improve, it may actually deteriorate. So that gives me all the more initiative now to try and take the family at this particular time, because I'm also approaching my 75th birthday now in a few days, actually, and it would be very nice if I could celebrate that in Scotland with my family here, with some fine Scottish fare, haggis and black pudding and Scotch pies and all these wonderful things that come from Scotland. And it would be very nice to do that. And it might be it probably is my last opportunity to travel anywhere abroad with them now. So once we made the decision that we were going to go, then it was up to me to make sure I got all the ducks in a row and that all the paperwork was going to be ready for us to go, and there was going to be nothing that's going to hold us back. And the very first objective was passports. Now, both my wife and Sandra, my daughter, both have Thai passports, and they both were out of date. So the first job was to get them renewed with 5-year duration passports. Now that proved to be a super experience, unbelievably super, because to get these new passports, all we had to do here in Pattaya was go down to the city centre, go to Central Festival Shopping Mall on Beach Road. You can enter it from Second Road as well. It's a huge shopping mall. And on the 4th floor, there's a government office that deals with passports. So we went down there, and it cost me back 1,000 for each of the passports, They went through and done all the biometric registering, etc. And then within 2 days, we had the new passports delivered to our house. Fantastic. Could not be easier. And this gave me a little bit of false outlook in that hopefully the whole process was going to be easy. And it wasn't that easy. And probably some of the problems that I've experienced are down to my own stupidity. So let's carry on with that story there. So we've got the passports. Now, the reason we're doing all this now is that this is the start of the school holidays, the long school holidays here in Thailand. There's summer break, and they're breaking up and they're not going back till sometime in May. So it's quite a long holiday period, ideal for what we've got planned. Unfortunately, it's still going to be very cold in Scotland when we go in the very near future. The next objective was to get my wife's entry visa into the UK, just my wife. You might be asking why I don't do this for Sandra also. The reason being is that Sandra has dual citizenship. She has a British passport and she's got a Thai passport. So it's very easy. She leaves Thailand on her Thai passport. We arrive in the UK. She enters on a UK passport. She leaves UK. There's no passport checks leaving UK. And we get back to here in Thailand and she enters again here on a Thai passport. Everything is absolutely no problem. But my wife, of course, is 100% Thai and she needs a visa to get there. She has been to UK before and everything went well. We entered when we wanted to enter and we left when we wanted to leave. There was no overstays. In fact, I think we had a 4-week visit then. And obviously, it all went well, and that's on record in her old passport, which we submitted along with her application. Now, this is the point where we got VFS Global involved and actually had to apply online for my wife's visa. And to do this, it was quite easy. You went on the site here, and you started the application. You filled in all the name, address, and all the details you wanted, passport numbers, etc., etc. And then you had to pay for the visa that you wanted to apply for. And in my case, or in my wife's case, it was 5,400 baht. Plus, there was extras that could be added on for all sorts of things. But that was the basic price for the a 6-month visitor's visa to the UK. You pay that, and then you submit the document, and then you get an option. Then you get a chance online to choose a suitable date and time to attend interview at their offices in Bangkok. And we done that, and I tried to allow about 3 hours travel between here and Bangkok to get to the office in time, because we were traveling by bus also to save any problems with parking, etc., and any hassles. Even though I'd allowed nearly 3 hours for that transit, when we arrived at Ekamai bus station in Bangkok, which is actually on Sukhumvit, it's at the bottom of Sukhumvit, and the offices for VFS Global are on Sukhumvit also, on Soi 13 in the trendy building. So it might sound ideal that way, but it's still a fair distance, and it's not walkable, I can assure you. Well, it is, but not quickly. It ended up, even though I'd allowed 3 hours, when we got to the bus station in Ekamai, just to make sure we got there in time, we had to get 2 motorbike taxis, 150 baht each, to take us up to the trendy building. And we actually got in there about 5 minutes before the time that we were supposed to be there for our interview. So it was a close thing, and it's something I suggest you keep in mind if you have to do the journey to their offices in Bangkok. Now, I remember when I made my first visa applications for visits to UK for some people, and That was back in the 90s when I was working here. And at that time, there was no VFS Global. You actually had to go up to the embassy in, I think it was Trafalgar Road, the name of the road where the big embassy was, all guarded by Gurkhas, etc. You went up there with all your supporting documentation, you filled in a form, you submitted your passport and your documentation, and then the next day you had to go back and collect your passport and find out the decision that had been made, whether they were going to grant you a visa or not. Now, at that time, I saw many, many visas getting rejected that for no reason, for no valuable reason, were they being rejected, and they should have been allowed. And also, I seen many visas getting agreed or passed, and they should never have been issued at any time, because they were aware of the place, and the people that were involved were not the best people in the world. But that was in the past, in the 90s. Since VFS Global have taken over, now I've had several issues with them, getting passports renewed, British passports renewed for myself and my daughter Sandra. I've had several visas issued, and the organization over time has improved. The security at the building is very high. And I can understand that, because the issuing of visas is can be a very contentious problem, in that people get excited and worked up and really happy that there's a possibility. And if they get knocked back, then you can see some very severe reactions to the fact that they haven't got the visa. And it works out now that the security is very, very high. When the applicant for the visa, which in the case of my wife, or whoever, the person that's applying for the visa for them, they're the only ones that are allowed into the main offices for the interview. And they go in there, they get interviewed, they get their biometrics taken, and then they get shown the door to come out again, where they can rejoin their partners or friends or whatever. But they have to do it by themselves. That never used to be the case, but it's certainly the case now. And once again, security is all around, and they're escorted out through the door, security into the lift, security down to the ground floor. This is from the 28th floor of the trendy building down to the ground floor. And then your security shown out to a clear area where you're dispersed back into the public. It's a very tight operation. And, some of the things that they do leave a lot to be desired, actually. And I think, even though they're obviously, I see on their website that they're actually processing millions and millions, unbelievable amounts of visas all over the world. They could still improve their customer service in many, many ways. I was a little bit stupid in the fact that when we applied for this visa to travel to the UK, I also booked my flights at the same time, because I saw some good opportunities for relatively well-priced flights, and I booked them up fine. And then I found out that the issue of the visas could take 3 weeks. Oh my God. Now, this particular problem was generated because the documentation that I read from VFS Global stated that the passport would normally be issued, because of the backlog that they had, it would be up to 15 days before, it could be up to 15 days before the visa was issued. Now, it did vaguely cross my mind, but I didn't really connect it too much, that they're saying 15 days. I booked my flight for 22 days after the submission of the application for the visa. So I thought, well, I've got a good week in there as spare capacity to get this visa from them. Then after we'd gone through the submission and everything, and I booked this flight with Thai Airways, which I'm very pleased about. I might discuss that later. But anyway, I booked this flight from Thai Airways, noting that there was penalties for change of flight, quite severe penalties actually, and I booked the fares at a low fare time, and right after it, the fares increased considerably. I thought, well, it's worth that risk just to get that money, and that's what I done. 15 days should be no problem. Then, when I went online and looked at reading through some other information, it then stated it would take up to 3 weeks to get the visa. So that left no error for margin. It meant that if it took the full 3 weeks, then it's going to result in the issue of the visa the day before we're due to fly, and that's totally unacceptable, and I'm extremely worried about that. And we come to the decision that if they haven't materialized 3 days before we're due to fly, then I'm going to cancel the flight and reschedule the flight, and then just wait for the visa to arrive, which would be much easier. There'll be penalties to pay, but it's my fault. I didn't think really clearly about it. And this is one of the issues that I don't like about this VFS thing is you cannot get, there is no tracking of your visa progress. So and they don't want anybody to contact them. Any emails, it's no reply type emails that you get from them. They're very, very difficult to contact. So the only way I see of making real contact and getting any advice and maybe helpfully pushing it along a little bit would be to go back to Bangkok. You can go in without an appointment in the morning and start your process. And I thought, well, I could always do that. And then I thought, well, what's the point in doing that? You travel all the way to Bangkok, you waste a full day, etc., and you might get no joy whatsoever. So, accept that now I've made the mistakes. I decided I'll accept the situation and wait to see what happens with the proviso that if I haven't had 3 days before we're due to fly, then I'm going to cancel the flight and rebook it for a later time, and then just wait for the visa to arrive. Incidentally, that would cost me 3,000 baht per ticket. That's 9,000 baht, which roughly about £200 UK money, plus any variation in the cost of the flights, which would be significant also. I know that. So, well, it is what it is, and a bit of stupidity. But the family's all geared up to go, and they're all getting excited about it. So I'll have to accept whatever the penalties are. So that's the visa applied for. So it's just a case of waiting and keeping my fingers crossed that we get it in good time to be able to proceed with the arrangements that I've already made. Hoping. But there's something else then I have to do, and that is I have to look at my own visa situation. Now, I'm here in Thailand, and I'm on a long-term visa classified as a marriage visa. It's very similar to a retirement visa, except that I don't have to put up quite so much money as a retirement visa. And also, if I wanted to, I could get a work permit to actually work here in Thailand, which I don't particularly want to do that anyway. So I'm on a marriage visa. Now, I just renewed my year. You've got to renew it every year. And I just renewed mine in February of this year. So only a few weeks ago, I've renewed it. If I now left Thailand and went to the UK and came back 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, my marriage visa would be automatically cancelled because I would have to come in a tourist visa or whatever. Why? Because I had not applied for the re-entry permit, which is essential. Re-entry permits allow your long-term visa to continue, but allows you to leave the country to go and do what you want to do, go and visit somewhere, or go and whatever, go and do some business somewhere, or whatever you want to do. And a single re-entry permit costs 1,000 baht. You can get multiple re-entry permits, which are the 3,900 baht, I think, and you can do as many ins and outs as you want in the year. But I don't intend to do that, so I just want a 1,000 baht single re-entry permit, which keeps my marriage visa active and doesn't create a problem. Now I'm going to give you a very good tip. To get this re-entry permit, I've got to go down to the immigration center here in Pattaya, which is down in Jomtien, as those many people will know. I've got to take my passport. I've got to get some particular pages copied, etc. I've got to take a single passport type photograph with me, and obviously I've got to pay the 1,000 baht, and I've got to fill in a form TM2, which is a re-entry permit application form. Tip, you know, I used to do these re-entry permits fairly regular, and only since I got this mobility problem have I stopped traveling out the country so much, and it's fallen away. But every time I used to apply for a re-entry permit, something had changed, and I kept getting it wrong. I'd do all the paperwork. I'd go down there, go to the counter, get the ticket, wait in the queue, go and see the people, say, no, you need this, you need that, you need to do this, that, we need an additional copy of this or what. Oh, it's frustrating, and it still happens to me on my marriage visa, actually. Something changes a little bit every year, and it just makes it a little bit more difficult, and you've got to do something else to get it. But my tip is, within the immigration facility in Soi 5 in Jomtien, there's a company works helping people with their visa applications, doing photocopying, taking passport photographs, and guiding people in the right procedures. Now, I went down there, I just took my passport with me, and I took a passport photograph, and obviously I took the money to pay for it all. And I went to one of these girls that was wearing the yellow shirts, and I gave them my passport. I said, I want a re-entry permit. No problem, she said. I'll do that for you. I'll do all the paperwork for you, and you just need to present it yourself. Fine. She said, it will cost you 100 baht. Now, they do that for many types of visas, so that's worth knowing. So I just sat down and watched her, and she filled in all the form, made all the copies of I was required of my passport, stapled them all together, attached my photograph to the application, and charged me 100 baht. Wow. What could be easier than that? Wonderful, wonderful service. So I then took it into the got a ticket from the queue to go to the re-entry permit desk, and then went in and I presented them. They checked the documents, took my money, and said, please wait. And then I just had to wait a while till they come out with my passport, with my re-entry permit stamped in my passport. Simple. Job done. So that was all the paperwork needed to get my particular aspect of the visa, travel, etc. sorted. So only now waiting for the visa for the entry from my wife to the UK. Oh, we hope. But let me tell you, yesterday I got a photograph, I got a photograph, I got an email from VFS Global, said that the processed application had now been handed to a courier for return. Didn't say whether it had been approved or not, it just said the processed application. I assume if there had been a problem, it wouldn't have said, they would have explained that in the email as well. But anyway, that's it. And today, just a little while ago, at our gate, the courier turned up. That's better. So the visa has just arrived. We hope. We haven't opened it yet. So come on, darling, get it open. Let's see what they've got.
Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun.
Well, there you go.
Dun, 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 dun.
Looks like you're going to Scotland then, eh? With my wife's passport, and inside she has a 6-month multi-entry visa to go to the UK. Absolutely perfect. And more importantly, we've also got 6 days before our flight departs. Couldn't be better, couldn't be better. So it's worked out okay, but it's been, I gave myself some problems, as you can see, but we're going to Scotland. And we're going to Scotland next week, and I'm going to have my 75th birthday in Scotland, and we're going to do some touring. I'm going to show my wonderful daughter some of the spectacular sights around Scotland. And if you want to come with us, keep tuned into this channel, and you will see our 2-week holiday in Scotland. Hope you can join us. And thanks for watching this video. Bye for now.